Hey guys, you're with Barry here, and up close and personal, I'm with one of my buddies here over the last, 5 or 6 years now,
6
right?
years.
6 years. And a good buddy of mine out in Rio San Juan is El Dueño. And I want to introduce you guys to him because many of you guys get to meet him when you're out touring with us. And it's my pleasure to introduce a really good friend of mine, El Dueño.
Nice to meet you for all of you who are watching us right now. My name is Alduino, A-L-D-U-I-N-O. I have it here right on my t-shirt.
El Dueño, talk to the people on camera while I light a cigar here about a little bit about your history, about who you are, where you were born, things of this nature.
First of all, I was born in Santo Domingo in 1977. Then I went to local school over there, and I felt that I had to learn English when I was a child. And then I was watching by that time the Antiguos WWF, and I was watching those men fighting and talking each other. I didn't understand what they were saying, and that made me to ask my mom to send me to the English school to try to understand them. And then that's when I went to American Dominican school in Santo Domingo, and I started to learn. The first time I started to understand them, then I really got in love with languages. That was around 9 years old. Then
What about, you speak obviously Spanish, English really well. What else?
Then when I went to Puerto Plata to my first job, I met Andrea School from Germany. Then I booked over there. That's where I learned French and German. But I'm more fluently in German than any other language that I speak.
Even more than English?
More than English, because I got in love to the language. That's what it happened by that time.
How long have you been in this region of the North Coast? In our region where the folks come out and spend some time with us?
Then I got back from Puerto Plata in 1998. That's when I met the cigar world. I started to smoke. I got in love with them. And some people who I talked to in that time, they told me, you need to prepare, you need to get ready to be able to have your own cigar. And I started to read Cigar Aficionado by Marvin R. Chaikin, and I got in love more with them. And then when I was starting to smoke, to know different type of tobacco, then in the year 2000, that's when my heart felt that I have to have my own cigars.
Well, originally that's how we met, was actually through cigars, because
Yes.
people that know drescapes know Barry likes a good pool now and again. But how did you come about? Now you're partners in this store, right?
Yes.
Now you have one partner, or
One partner.
and so you're part owner of it. You're half owner, I guess, of it. How did this all come to play? Because later on, guys, we're going to do a panoramic sweep from both directions. Legally, I don't get involved in publicizing, but I will say it's one of the finest selections, and I can tell you El Dueño is about as straight as they come, and lots of our folks have picked up little trinkets and souvenirs and what have you, but for that small group of you guys and ladies that are cigar aficionados, you want to talk to the man, because chances are what he forgot about cigars you never knew to begin with. He can out and out tell you what type Cabrera 93 or whatever is in the cigar and what they use to cure it, to blend its flavor. By him asking you a few questions, he will dovetail you to the near perfect taste or sabor that you like. And how did this business come into play? Because it truly is a beautiful store. Tell us about how you started.
Then in 2003, I left the company that I was working. That company disappeared, unfortunately. Campo Tour and Ola Felix. And over there, then in that year, I used to know Felipe, but not well, only by hello. Then he told me one day to help him to sell a couple of things in the store. Then he told me that day, you have a lot of magic to sell cigars. Why don't you come and you join here in the shop? I was supposed to leave to Punta Cana, which I had a job already. They had gotten to me. And I stopped the proposition over there in Punta Cana and I stayed here. Then I noticed by that time that over here, cigars, they were only a passion by that time by people who knew tourists and visitors, but people around here didn't know a lot about cigar by that time. That's when I got interested then to know more, to read, to know the factories, to know each one of the famous factories they are here in the country and all the qualities. Couple years later, then I started to meet people who knew about it and they wanted to make the business to grow up. Then that's when Felipe and I got partners.
How did you get to meet all these people in terms of the owners of these smaller, like, I'm not allowed to advertise, but one of my favorites has got to be DBL. You know I love that.
I love DBL too.
You know I love that. Hardly known, and it's going to be known over the next couple of years. But, by the way, this is not one of your best. Anyway, just joking. But, by the way, you know, how did you get blended into that tightly knit community where the people that have for decades worked for Arturo Fuente or you know, the gentleman who actually invented the Opus X, the famous Opus X cigar?
Martin Almonte.
Yeah, how did you get to meet these kind of people?
Then I was a tour guide. I had to go 3 times a week to the cigar factories. I started going to La Aurora because that's the one that was allowed tourists to get in. Then one man came from America. His name is Frank, German American, and he brought a letter, a special signed by Fuentes and General Cigar. And he told me where he could find a factory, and I told him, I know the area, but they don't allow people to get in. He told me, no, I have a letter. He showed me the letter signed by General Cigar and Arturo Fuente for him to get in. And then he told me, he asked me, could you come with me? And I said, yeah, of course, it's a privilege. Then I went there. I met a couple of people that day, and they told me, your English speaking is good. And I said, I speak all several languages. They told me, oh, you could bring your friends here whenever you want. And that's how I started to meet those people. And nowadays we are friends, you know, and I could take people to any one of the factories, which are free trade zone, which means they make the products in Dominican Republic, but they don't sell it here in this country.
How long have you been in the area, Rio San Juan, in the North Coast? How many years?
Since moving right now, since 2003. Then it's 14 years that I have been here around, and I haven't moved to any other place.
You meet an awful lot of people from America and Europe and Canada and Asia and Germany, whatever, lots of people. What is it about, from a Dominican man's point of view, what is it about this little area of Cabrera y Rio San Juan that people find so beautiful and so what is it that draws people to this area?
What I have seen and what I have noticed, people, they get in love to this area is because it's very, besides beautiful, it's very peaceful. And if you compare Rio San Juan to any another town of any place of the world, here you are going to find people who speak more than 6 languages. You know, maybe not the same person, but you find different type of people who understand any tourist that come here, and they become friends. Besides of that, they have 3 different choices when they move here. Or they could live right on the sea, or they could live on the mountain, ocean view, or they could live inside of town. And they always have a way to communicate in their languages with anyone around, and they become family besides being neighbors.